What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome. So we are gonna be doing some review of the F1 Manager 2023. We all, if you're watching this video, perhaps you're interested in this game. And probably you played the previous game or you watched something of the previous game. We all know that the comments, the reviews, the opinions in general of the F1 Manager 2022 were a little bit they were rubbish. Let's face it. Like, the game was trash. It was extremely easy to win. Developing cars was easy. The new drivers, like after 10 or 20 years, all of them were rubbish. There was not a new super talent like Verstappen or whatever. All of them were trash. Developing the factories was easy, and if you take the Williams team, perhaps after like 2 or 3 years, you might be able to win the championship if you did it well. Has the game improved anything from then? Let's go checking window by window, and right. And the interface and the playability, perhaps we can play the next Grand Prix, which would be the Hungarian Grand Prix, right? So let's start from the home thing. It's more or less the same thing. You have the status here of the team, the objective according to the board, and blah blah. You have the two drivers, which in my case are Pierre Gasly and Dennis Hauger. You have the news or events or whatever. You have the next Grand Prix. You have here the standings. As you can see, with the Williams, it's 20-25. And I'm third in the championship with the Williams team. So here you have the drivers. You have the standings, right? Fourth in the championship with Gasly, and with Hauger, I am 8th. And you can see already some drivers changed the teams. Not very realistically, let's face it, but anyway. You have Leclerc in Red Bull, you have Russell and Sainz in Ferrari, you have Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon in Mercedes, and so on. Like Oscar Piastri going to Alpine. Back. And this is something new they added. This is the pit stop time. The pit stop time, it's kind of important in this game because at the end of the season, whoever had the best pit stops in every Grand Prix is gonna win some cash prize, right? The first top 10 teams in pit stops will have points the same like the drivers, 25, 18, 15, and so on until your position 10. At the end of the season, if you're number 1, you will get like 12 million in cash of money, of budget extra to your team, and for the second and the third and so on, it will be split like that. So having your crew performing good pit stops every single Grand Prix is gonna be an important thing to consider in this game. And well, more or less the same thing. You have here home, which they tell you what it is. But anyway, let's go to the next one, which is the inbox. The inbox, you have some new stuff happening here. You will have here the front wing research, which is the same like the old game. Pit crew is exhausted, and this is something new for the game. The fatigue of the crew, you can see the chance of mistake. If your best pit stop time when the pit crew is in, let's say, optimal conditions of performing the pit stop is going to be like 1.8 seconds. With a mistake, maybe it's going to be like 3 or 4 seconds. So you will lose time, or 2.6 or whatever, right? It's not going to be up there with the other teams. So maintaining your pit crew in good conditions is going to be a target for your season as well to manage. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it. Me, this is 98% because we just finished the Grand Prix, so they are kind of tired. You have the development of the car, which is exactly the same as in the previous game. They tell you where your car is in dirty air, for example, and where your car is in normal conditions, right? You can see the high speed, the Williams. This is kind of realistic because the Williams has a good high speed. You have cornering, acceleration, you're the second top speed, we are the second. Of course, I changed the engine suppliers from Mercedes to Red Bull, which also have some differences in prices and performances according to, or comparing with the previous game, right? You had the engine supplier that were Ferrari, Alpine, Red Bull Powertrains, and Mercedes. In the previous game, if I'm not mistaken, Both Ferrari and Mercedes were 20 million per season, and then you had Red Bull 15, and then you had Alpine 10 millions per season. Something like this. In this one, more or less, all of them cost the same. You will have the Mercedes costing 22 million, you will have the Red Bull costing 21, the Alpine 20, and the Ferrari 23. Of course, the performing stuff, all of them have something bad, so choosing wisely is going to be something interesting. Continuing a little bit, you have the financial report, which is trash because you don't give a crap about it. The board confidence, same like in the previous game. Driver development. I will check this when we get to the driver section, but you can see here developing the driver has changed a little bit. Before, in the previous game, you would gain points for that. Now it's a different kind of training system. You have some news about what's happening on the paddock, the championship and stuff. It's cool invitation, something that used to happen in the previous game as well. Rear wing manufacturing, something similar as for the previous game. Car inspection result. This is something new. Now the aero package of the car gets worn off after some Grand Prix. For example, the front wing after 2 or 3 Grand Prix, 3 or 4, whatever, I don't know. After a number of Grand Prix, it will get worn off. There is a percentage, and after it gets like to a certain point, you need to change it and you need to update it. This kind of adds some realism because in the real F1, the parts also get damaged, right? And they need to be updated, repaired, or whatever. Here, you just need to manufacture new stuff. Manufacturing stuff is not cheap. It's not as cheap as in the previous game. It's kind of expensive. And if you're a team like Williams that doesn't have a lot of budget, at least in the beginning, doing or taking care of this aero package stuff is gonna cost. It's gonna cost a lot of money. It's gonna take the part of the money that you perhaps wanted to invest into developing the facilities or whatever, which will try to give you an enhancement in the income and the driver and engineer developments, and of course the car design and stuff, right? Which is more difficult now because these things you need to invest money into repairing the car after every Grand Prix. Maybe not in the first 3 or 4 Grand Prix, but after that it's a constant expenditure, right? As you can see, I only have 15 million and I am doing like third in the championship, so we will see how this affects. It affects a lot. It affects a lot, and when I get to the facilities, you will see that what I have developed actually is not a lot. You have the results now. They tell you, for example, the results of F2 and F3. You can see here Christian Mansell, Boya, blah, blah, blah. Of course, some drivers went already up to F1 as a reserve driver, so full-time drivers. So some people might leave. For example, if we go here, you can see the result of the race of F2, which was not there before. You can see Caio Collet, you can see Frederic Vesti, Berman, whatever, right? Sebastian Montoya, and so on. So you can actually see what is happening in those things. And now I am on the top again. So the British Grand Prix, whatever, right? You have the fatigue. The contracts are finishing, right? This is more or less the same thing over and over again. However, and I want to try to find some email specifically, they added something interesting for the drivers, which is something I actually complained about in the previous game, which is sponsoring young drivers, right? Here you have the chance. Oh, yeah. For example, here you can see who is in which team, right? More or less. Liam Lawson in AlphaTauri, and so on. Could be kind of realistic. Anyway, now you have a chance, but I don't know if you can do it manually or it's automatic. Once a year, you can sponsor one young driver from lower categories. You can sponsor it. You pay like I think it's like 200,000, something like this, and it will enhance the driver's development in lower categories. Of course, you cannot choose which driver, which I think it's something the game should fix. You should be able to choose which driver you want to sponsor. and bring up, right? You cannot choose the driver, and I don't know if you can actually choose like which team it's gonna be on or whatever. So yeah, I don't see it right now, which is not so good. But anyway, it's there. It's there. If I see it, I will let you know. If not, we can move on. So anyway, let's move on because I cannot find it. I don't know where it is. Like I said, it's once a season, and it takes time to see if it's worth it or not. Because usually they are suggesting crappy drivers. The calendar, as you can see here, more or less, it's the same as the previous game. They tell you what you have each day. Right, facility refurbished, manufacturing complete, sponsorship obligations, and blah blah blah. Sponsorship obligations at the end of the season, you can choose which ones to do, which ones not. They didn't change anything there. It's exactly the same as in the previous game. It would be nice if you could actually negotiate sponsorship deals and stuff with I don't care if they are real brands or not, but it would be nice if you can actually try to enhance the economics of the team, right? You cannot do that, which for me it's still one of the things lacking. So yeah, the racetracks, here you have the list. You have Las Vegas, for example. Okay, you cannot see anything. Oh, well, there it is. Anyway, you have Las Vegas. You have Qatar as well in Lusail. You have sprint races. The calendar is exactly as it was, as it is happening right now in the real F1. And whatever. And you can see here, for example, I won the Miami Grand Prix. So yeah, the race, same thing. Performance, target for the race, hot streak targets, whatever is the same as in the previous game. Driver overview, which leads you to the driver. And car builds, which leads you here. And here, for example, this is what I was talking about, the parts being worn off. You can see here, for example, chassis, it has a 52% good condition. After it reaches, I don't know, less than 40 or 30 or whatever, you have to change it and you have to put a new one. Developing or manufacturing one is not cheap, depending on the part, of course. But the underfloor is going to be expensive. Front wing and rear wing are going to have different prices, whatever, right? But still, like every 5 Grand Prix or whatever, you need to be developing and putting on new front wings or whatever package that you are getting broken or worn off. Every time you crash, every time there is a little knob in the front wing and one winglet is missing, you have to put a new front wing. You cannot repair it, which for me is something that should be an option. You should either substitute or you should be able to repair it, right? If something can be saved, you should be able to repair it. But anyway, it's a good thing because it adds realism to the game. You can see the sidepod here is new, the powertrains, the engine, CRS, and gearbox, it's same like in the previous game. Each manufacturer has good things and bad things, depending on which one you choose. Some parts will last longer, some parts will last less. Development, you can see the window is a little bit different, the whole thing. Here you just click on this thing. Now you cannot do it because everything is development and I only have the capacity to develop 3 things at one time, right? If you have the designing center at full capacity, then you will have the 4th one. So you click here, then there will be open the menu. And you will have to either design or research for the following season. The research thing is exactly as it was in the previous game. After the 4th, 5th Grand Prix of the season, they will give you the option to vote for something. You vote, and according to that, you can research parts for the following season. The manufacturing capacity is something similar to that. So here they added both of them in the same place. And then you have the warehouse, same like in the previous game. Everything is exactly the same, right? You can see here the parts that you have available. There is some progress going on here. For example, if you want to manufacture a front wing, each front wing, it's 225,000 credits, because I don't really know what is the money that they are using on the game. Here, 400,000 for the floor and suspension. I don't know if there's something, yeah, there is in progress. Let's check the side pods, for example, right? It's 450,000 for the side pods, for each one. 2 side pods, it's almost 1 million credits, which you have less. And each Grand Prix, you will not win so much money as before, right? So yeah, and then the engine, well, after some voting and stuff, now you have 4 engines per season instead of 3. There is more Grand Prix, there are 24 Grand Prix. And so far, I was not able to finish a season without purchasing stuff. You can finish with the engines, of course, worn off already. So in the final Grand Prix, you will be quite slow. But like the ERS, there is no chance that with 2 ERS units, you can finish the season. No chance. Especially if you have a crash or something and it gets damaged, well, you have to purchase one for sure. And anyway, you will have to purchase one for sure, because for 24 Grand Prix, 2 ERS units, there is no chance. So I don't know if this is real or not. I don't know if this is going to happen this year or not with the real F1. We will see that as drivers start getting penalties in the final Grand Prix, right? So yeah, but thanks to some voting, they were adding one more thing for each item in this. So this is a lot of help. Having one more of each, one more engine, one more ERS, one more gearbox, helps you not to spend money buying a new one. You can see here, for example, buying a new gearbox is 1 million, right? Buying a new ERS, it's 2.5 million. In the first season, you need to purchase 2 of them, which is 5 million. 5 million that go to the ERS and not to developing a facility, for example. And if they hadn't voted for this change that we have one more for each thing, you would have to spend another 5 million this year as well. So we will see if that is so realistic or not. But anyway, the drivers. As you can see here, you do not have the scouting thing anymore. You only have 3 things, right? You have the performance and the affinity with the engineer. You have the development, and this is what I was talking about. Before each Grand Prix, you would gain some experience, and with that experience, you will have like 1 point. Well, how many experience you gain? Usually, it was 1 point after every 1 or 2 Grand Prix if you had like a high development rate, right? So here you can see you have the balanced, which will develop everything at once. You have the driving standards that will develop 4 things, right? Control, overtaking, defending, reactions. If you have the pace for the race or whatever, you develop 4 things. Pace for the short runs, like for example, could be qualifyings or the sprint races. Race strategy develops different things. Wet track, wheel-to-wheel racing, right? For me, cornering smoothness, reactions is very important. Cornering braking is very important. Accuracy is very important. So usually I try to develop these things. The overtaking ability that they have, it doesn't really matter because that will also depend on the strategy that you have and the DRS on the race, right? So this is more or less like this. The race simulation, level 4, you can see how much it affects the development of the driver and the morale of the driver. Well, they are making podiums and finishing in the pit end, so they are kind of high. In the first seasons with the Williams, the morale is kind of low all the time because you're out of the target every single Grand Prix. So yeah. Facility bonuses, you can see here, more memorabilia room, team hub, and race simulation, which has level 4, level 5. Took a lot of sacrifices, but anyway. The contract is for 5 years, remaining contract 5 years, salary 50 million, race bonuses none. And this is something that it doesn't really affect to the final budget, right? You can offer the driver 50 million per year that you will still not have a budget problem. And this for me is not good. The budget for the team should be the budget that you have according to all the sponsorship and all the income that you have with the merchandising and everything. Like you should be able to control these things to make it more realistic, right? Because a real team does it like this. The merchandising, you put the prices, you decide what to do. You have a review or a research to see what is sold the best. I don't know, caps, t-shirts, bags, whatever. You should be able to do these things to make it more realistic. And the driver salary should be according to that. Like if Williams can generate 150 million and the cost cap is 136 million, things that are outside of the budget, like the driver salary, should be still in your charge. And like I cannot hire Pierre Gasly for $50 million when I don't have this money, right? This should be added into the game. This is just for me, of course. I mean, I would like to play a realistic game where I can decide and be a team manager. Team managers take these decisions, right? You have a budget for the team, and if it's like 300 million, the engineers, the drivers and staff that are outside the cost cap, you should control the things that are inside the cost cap, but the things that are outside the cost cap, you should also be able to control it. including the driver salaries and stuff, right? If Haas cannot hire Daniel Ricciardo because it costs $10 million every year and you do not have the budget for that driver, you cannot hire Daniel Ricciardo. It should be like this. But anyway, maybe Williams cannot afford to pay $15 million to Pierre Gasly, but in the game you can, because you don't have apparently infinite money for that, right? But anyway. And you can see, for example, here, renew the contract or not. Let's go scouting and let's try to hire somebody, right? If you go to Alexander Albon and you propose a contract, they added something here, which is starting date. You can either put it immediately, of course, the cost to break the contract and stuff, total hiring, or you can put it next season, which is something I really was desperate to put in the game. I wanted them to put it in the game because it's you have to be able to hire not just the drivers, the staff as well. At the end of the season, for the next season, you can negotiate at the middle of the season for next season. You can plan for the next season. You don't have to wait until the end of the season, so you can put and negotiate stuff. So this is something that they added, which is very good. And the rest is more or less the same. You can put the position, the contract length, starting day, salary, signing bonus, and whatever, right? Which is good. The drivers that are incoming, sorry, let's go to scouting again. Nikola Tsolov, which has been there since the beginning of the game, so 2 years already. But the drivers that are incoming, like for example, Sekelaga Alaneme, are, you can see, 59, 43, whatever. And then you will see something that is really bad. Some drivers do not have a face. Why would you do that? I don't know why they did that. The good thing is that they added nationality to the incoming drivers that you have in lower categories, right? Or not. You can see here that this driver doesn't have. So why don't you add them? Why don't you, like the previous game had faces there, why don't you put faces in the drivers? Or the staff as well? I mean, it's not that complicated, right? Why don't you put the nationality? People want to know the nationality. It's such a simple thing. Why don't you do it? So this is something that is lacking. I'm going to be enlisting that, so we can just make a thing at the end. Let's go to the staff. The staff is more or less the same thing, except that they added the sporting director. The sporting director will take care of the pit crew. And the pit crew, you can actually change the training and stuff here, right? As you can see, the fatigue, it's here. And you can see the chance of mistake, estimated pit stop. You can see that it cost 1 second to have the mistake. So instead of 1.8, it will be 2.8, but then you will not be in the top 10 anymore. Estimated pit stop time, 1.9, car building, blah, blah, blah. You have here, race the car, the amount of time that will cost. And here you have the training of the staff. You can have a balanced, custom, whatever. You can have a pit stop errors. You have like the packages of stuff, pit stop time, car building, fatigue reduction, which will help you. And that is more or less it. Imagine that you're doing this, you have it custom, or you can choose whatever, the wheel gun, the used tire off, put on the new tires, or just tires in general, or release the car, right? And you can see here each thing is changing the performance, right? We don't want to do this. So yeah, and season performance, you can see here, you are around the 2 seconds. It went here for some Grand Prix due to having some fatigue. And yeah, and for the staff, is more or less the same thing as for the drivers. You can development according to development packages, either balanced or you will focus in some areas for this, right? And contracts, you can see that if you perhaps put the top teams, I am Williams. The first teams don't want to come to Williams because I am the number 3 team, perhaps the budget or whatever, the appearance, the appealing of the team is not the desired one, right? So yeah, and the other teams, where you can see, for example, Ferrari doesn't want to come, McLaren yes, but Mercedes no, right? The top teams don't want to come to you, Alpine, whatever. So yeah, this is more or less the thing. You can see here, for example, detail. I am interested in this guy because he's 35 years old. And I have one here, and the other one is right here in 84. But this guy is 45 years old. So if I hire this guy, which is 35, I will have a very, very, very good engineer for many years. The bad thing about this, for example, is that once again, you have no competition. If you want to hire this guy and he wants to come to your team, nobody is going to stop you. Like Alpine is not going to try to make a better offer to this guy to try to make him stay, right? If you have this guy and after like 3-5 seasons, whatever, Red Bull, which is the top team, comes and tries to hire this guy, maybe he will try to leave, right? These things happen, for example, in Football Manager. Here, it doesn't happen. You have no competition. You play alone. And this is something they should fix still. I mean, the game is a clear step forward in many areas, but still. So let's see what this guy has. The contract is remaining for 2 years. Buyout fee is 1 million, right? There is a negative look, not interested. There you go. So he's an Alpine. He doesn't want to race for me. So yeah, this is more or less how it is, right? The stuff, the scouting, like I said, it's more or less the same as in the previous season. You scout them and you see the information is the same, except that now for hiring, you can change the incoming time. It could be either at this moment or the next season, at the beginning of the next season. And like I said before, there is a possibility of sponsoring drivers. I don't know how to do it because when I go to drivers, there's no place where I can go and, for example, if I want to sponsor Nikola Tsolov, I cannot sponsor him. There's no place where I can put sponsor, right? Reserve, car 1, car 2, car 3, there's nothing. So this, putting it manual would be better. You can see the performance here, you have the contract here, which you cannot do anything about it. Career, but still compare drivers, but you cannot put it in, right? You cannot do anything. Only once a year, and when they recommend you to try to sponsor one driver from junior categories, which for me, it would be better if you could do it manually as well. Here, the installations are the same thing. You have, for example, the condition of the simulator is bad. Now I have the budget to try to do it. However, I am expecting some costs over the following race. So I'm not going to do it yet. I will try to improve it for the next level. And but after the next race. And you guys see here the usage, for example, the factory, whatever. The design center is being developed to the last level. Is it? Project capacity 4. Yeah, so it's being developed to the last level. You have here the same thing, Team Hub, Scouting Department, Race Simulator, which is exactly the same as in the last game. And Operation Facilities, which is exactly in the last game with the same stuff over here, right? Same thing. They get worn off quite more often than in the previous game, which means you have to invest part of the budget into refurbishing or upgrading. So, like I said, you do not have a lot of money, especially if you choose a team like Williams, for example. And the money that you have, you need to spend it constantly, Grand Prix after Grand Prix after Grand Prix. So, trying to save money and developing something takes a longer time, right? Usually at the end of the season or the beginning of the following season is when you will have like the big amount of money and you can try to go for one of these developments, which as you can see cost like 11 million, developing 27 million. This one was 32 million, I think, 12 million, 14 million, right? Developing the car development facilities takes a long time, a long time. And you can see here, I am not even developed yet. In a previous game, probably I could have most of it in level 4 or level 5s already. So yeah, like I said, the budget is very important. And this is why, for me, it would be important to try to add this negotiation with sponsorships or whatever, right? If you could sign a sponsor, I don't know, if it doesn't have to be Kraken or Gulf, but you can, I don't know, put a fake brand like Coca-Cola or whatever. And change the livery of the car, which you cannot do it right now. The livery of the car is exactly the same every single year. I don't know, these things should be available in the game, right? Even if it's a fake brand, I don't care. I wanna be able to have control over the income that I have. Of course, if you're Williams and you're at the back, maybe you do not have access to many sponsors. But if you are in the top 3 teams, like 2 or 3 seasons, maybe the deals that you get are much better, and you will have much more budget. Not just depend everything on the position at the end of the season and how much money you can get from that, right? But anyway, the board confidence is more or less the same thing. Objectives, disappointed because in the 2024, I was not able to score points in half of the races. However, as you can see, they are delighted with the performances that I am having so far in the season. They have high confidence in me. Finances, they are satisfied because I do not have any debt. It's really difficult to have debt unless you're investing the money quite badly, to be honest. Current season progress, they want me to be 5th or above. I am 3rd, so I am on target. As you can see, long-term objective, points contender, which in the following race probably I will be scoring points again. And yeah, you have the board and budget. Season budget is 60 million. So far, I spent, to be honest, I have no idea. Team rating. Driver results, I have 0 points out of possible 250, which means maybe the drivers will not be interested in coming to me, right? Heritage 63, constructor result you can have here, which means absolutely nothing. The profile, you can see that it's just a nothing. This means nothing. Where you are, how many seasons you have been. Another thing that they didn't add, I'm imagining, I don't know, I didn't try to get fired, but if you get fired, you cannot go to another team. There is no another team coming to try to hire you, right? It would be amazing if you can actually, like, for example, take the Williams from the back, bring it to the front, and then maybe, I don't know, Alfa Romeo or whoever team Alfa Tauri is really bad in the championship and they try to hire you for some money. Like it happens in Football Manager, for example, right? I take Football Manager as an example because that is like the reference managing game of sports that you have so far. Yeah, and the recent history, whatever. You can see the championships, season 1, season 2, right? Car development, how much I invested, car development, contracts, whatever, right? I'm gonna guess that this season I'm gonna spend much more in contracts, but anyway. Rules and regulations, you have for the chassis, you have this, right? Which are the changes for the following season, whatever. I'm gonna guess that they didn't add new stuff happening in the years. For example, Audi coming into the F1 as an engine supplier. I don't know why they don't want to do this. I'm gonna guess because they don't know how it's gonna be. But still, having Audi, I didn't finish. Sorry, I didn't finish the 2025 season yet. I don't know if Audi will be here, but I'm gonna guess it's not, based on the fact that, for example, the Shanghai racetrack has not been added to the championship, which in the following year, in 2024, it will be there, it's confirmed. So yeah, the cost cap is gonna be the same thing. You can see here the money split, right? It's gonna be like this. The sporting, you can see here, you have 5 pieces, 3 pieces, 4 pieces, yes, no, yes, whatever. So this is gonna be the same. Finances, season balance. So you can see here, starting balance 11 million, current balance 15 million, project income 276 million, project outgoing 157 million. So I should have a benefit or a profit of 126 million. Let's see if this is going to be like this. If this is like this, in theory, you're inside the cost cap. Again, being outside of the cost cap is very difficult in this game. In the previous game, it was easier. In this one, no. As you can see here, the driver contracts and whatever, it costs money, but things are out of the cost cap, so it doesn't really matter. And projection, you can see here what is going to be like. So, right? Monthly balance, which means absolutely nothing. The cost cap, I am still inside. Once again, spent, you can see where you spend the money, right? The car development, car research, staff salaries, engineering, driver salaries are not there. But still, And sponsorships. Again, you do not have the chance to negotiate for the sponsorship deals, which for me is a basic thing in F1. How much money are you able to bring in? For me, it would be amazing if they could add this. So yeah, as you can see, how much money merchandising usually is the thing that brings most of the money. So in putting this at maximum will make it better. Race simulation events do not bring a lot of money. Sorry, the race simulation event, yes. Race hospitality doesn't bring a lot of money, but still, memorability room is complete trash. You have 17 days and still only gives you 100,000, right? This one, for example, gives you 8 million. This one gives you 2 million. And this one gives you 5 million driver appearance. But of course, if you put the drivers there, then you do not have a lot of development either. And the championship, again, drivers and DHL fastest pit stop, which is something I was telling you before. Right? At the end of the pit stop challenge, at the end of the season, you will have points, and according to where you are in the standings, they will give you X money or not. And the Grand Prix, again, you can see the results, right? More or less, it's consistent. Red Bull and Ferrari are still dominating. I managed to win one Grand Prix without anything happening. I just put a new power unit, and that's it. You have Dennis Hauger doing a podium in Imola, and so on, right? But anyway, so this is more or less the game. What should the game improve? Like I said, the drivers, you should be able to sponsor a new driver. They did improve the things that you can hire drivers for the following season. Sponsoring young drivers for me is a key thing in this game, because in F1 this happens. In real life, you should be able to sponsor 1, 2, 3 drivers to try to enhance their developments and perhaps be a future driver of your own team, right? So this is one. The second one, it would be the finances for me. Negotiating sponsors to try to bring more income and these kind of things should be under your control and not be automatic by the game. You should be able to control the budget outside of the cost cap as well. For me, that would be part of linked to being able to negotiate and bring income to the team, right? And this perhaps contracts with the sponsor should be linked to being able to achieve some results. If you don't achieve them, maybe the contract will be broken or whatever, which is something that happens in the team. And with these new sponsors or whatever, you should be able to change the livery of the car. To some extent, at least. I mean, right? Who doesn't like to design their own car? At least, I'm just saying, whatever. Anyway, and the other point that I said is competition. You should be able to compete, to try to negotiate with drivers or engineers, and these people having offers from other teams or whatever. Right now, you're just playing against yourself. If you don't screw up, you will win. Losing in this game is very difficult. And winning is kind of easy. So you should have some competition. People should want to leave the team. People should have offers from other teams, whatever. I don't know. Make it difficult. And yeah, so let's advance. Let's put this. Actually, we looks like need to put them to fatigue reduction, right? They are exhausted for the next Grand Prix, which is coming quite soon. Let's advance. Manufacturing complete. You will see here there's some stuff happening. Data increase construction speed. You see, this is an event that is happening. You can pay extra and have the team hub built earlier or not. For me, honestly, it's not worth the cost, especially when you have troubles to finish the season with the target of developments that you want, right? So unless it's strictly necessary, I will not do it. Design Center level 4. And this is something that I am very interested, because now that means that I should be able to, or not. Oh, I still cannot. I need to develop for another level, right? Yes, I do. So still 3 and 32 million. So it's level 4. So yeah, I thought it was level 5. Anyway, so we continue. You have a new voting for regulations. Let's see what they want. Sporting changes. Gearboxes. You see, they want to reduce it. Why would you want to reduce it? I'm kind of sure that they will vote for this. I'm going to vote against it because it's an extra cost that, as I am struggling to try to develop everything, once everything is already developed and you have money, I don't care. But now I am trying to develop everything and I don't want. Suspension manufactured, which I have already. Let's go to the next Grand Prix. Hungarian Grand Prix, I already put the expectations. Drivers and everything are okay. So let me one thing check. No, I'm gonna be using worn stuff for the free practices and for the free practices basically, because the other parts can last longer, right? Even if you extended one extra Grand Prix, it's money that you're saving. It's performance that you're gaining. So this is how I will do it. Let's go to the race weekend. The design, the interface is more or less the same. Nothing has changed in there. I think Hungary doesn't have the sprint race, so you will not have the sprint race here. If not, the sprint qualifying and stuff, it's as it was in 2022, not 2023. If in the sprint race you finish last, there is no other qualifying for the main race. You will start the main race last, which is not like this in 2023. This is a mistake of the game. I hope they fix this, even though I don't think they will fix it for this game. So yeah, here you can put the other driver, you can see. But anyway, let's go to the qualifying and see how it goes. You will have the summer break after that, so I hope the pit crew can rest after these events. You have here the confidence of the driver as well, which will give him a boost if it's a good confidence. If it's not, they will underperform a little bit. So yeah, the maximum is here. I never had it the maximum. Usually it's somewhere like in 80 something. So yeah, that is the normal thing. You can see the videos and stuff are different. The Grand Prix design are more or less the same. Instead, now you have Aramco everywhere. So let's go here and put everything back where it was. Let's put this engine there. Let's put this ERS unit there. And let's put the gearbox back on. And let's try to improve this a little bit. We will bring this here. Good. It's not that difficult to make the settings if you more or less know where it should be, right? Let's put it in the second car as well, in the Dennis Hauger. We will do this. And now we will do the same thing as we did in the other car. Try to put it somewhere in there. We will do this as well. Try to bring this here. This will be here. And that should be more or less it. We will simulate the qualifying, just to make it quick. And as you can see, more or less, Dennis Hauger is out, but Pierre Gasly is in P5, which means we are still in target, right? As long as we can score points in this race or any of the other races, we will be in target, and that will be good. We have the results. You can see here, even with the car parts destroyed, you're still P5 and P6 and P7, right? Sponsorship targets, you reach this, guarantee a slot, yes, blah, blah, blah. So continue, and let's see what we have. We have a rainy race. The rainy races, the difference between this game and the previous one is in the previous one, for example, if it started raining, it would get damped quite quickly. In this race, it will get damped very slowly, and it's like a progressive thing. It will not like at once, after like 1 or 2 laps, everything is wet. No, it will take like several laps to make it really wet. Still, we will put the soft tire in both cars. We should be able to reach there. I am not so sure. Let's put a medium tire here just in case. Let's split strategies. 82, 92, it's more or less the same thing. Let's give an extra boost at the beginning of the race to both cars. Right? And let's go full on. Let's start the race. And here we go. We don't care about this. So let's go for it. As you can see, most of the drivers are starting on soft tires. So yeah, let's speed up. You can see here the Williams going there. Let's make it quick. Let's actually make it go a little bit faster. Oh yeah, you can see here, for example, they changed before. The neutral was here. There were 5 staff, now there are 4. More or less the same. Here it's the same thing as the previous game. Here is the same thing as the previous game. Here the pit stop, it was below. So the interface is a little bit different, but you have the same amount of information. Like here, car conditions, right? You have the lap times and whatever. Everything is as it was. And you can see the Red Bulls and the Ferraris are escaping from the Williams, which is not the best team. Let's face it. We might have won a Grand Prix and be in the top 10, but still, we are really out of pace. There is a major change coming into the following season, so we might actually go for that. Now the target where the other drivers will be coming in usually starts at 0.7 millimeters. If it goes up to that, all the drivers come in. If it goes below that, they don't really care. So let's come in with both drivers, with Pierre Gasly and with Dennis Hauger. You can see there is a lot of difference between 2 drivers, so it will not have any consequences. As you can see, some drivers came in, some drivers didn't. Can we catch them? No chance. So we are in P7, and that's more or less where we're gonna stay for the rest of the Grand Prix. I'm just doing this as an example to show you how the game works. And that's it, more or less. You will see that more or less the rain will stay there according to the precipitation and stuff. Strategy guideline, can we make it to the end? We will try. It's gonna be a boring Grand Prix, so sit and enjoy of how this is gonna be. You can see Dennis Hauger had some incident, and there is the front wing, probably there is a wing chipped or something. He will lose some performance, but still we are in P7 with the other driver. So maintaining the final position in the championship with Gasly is going to be kind of difficult, but we will try to fight for that P3 with Williams at the end of the championship. Our rival right now is Mercedes. Mercedes, which you can see, Ocon and Perez are in front of Gasly, which means that they will score a lot of points against me, so maybe they will pass me. Still, having a P4 with the Williams in the 3rd season as the manager, for me, it's a success. It's a success. And like I said, the following season, there will be a huge, well, I will say huge, but it's a major change in regulations. So I'm counting that the game is kind of stupid like in the previous game. They will be spending a lot of time developing the current car, and then you can actually do a huge step forward in the order of the grid. This is my hope, and I really hope I can do this, right? I will see what happens at the end of the season. Maybe I will do another video, whatever. If you're interested, let me know. So far, you can see I am not pushing with the tires, mainly because I am trying to reach to the end of the race. There might be a good weather at the end, so if we have the chance to change the tires, we might go for it. You can see Carlos Sainz already going to the pits to try to change the tires. Is it a good thing? What is the lap time of Sainz? 23.8. I'm still in 23.8, so it should be okay. So let's continue like this and let them push. We lose nothing. Staying out on the track. And so far, the only driver that did that was Carlos Sainz. Maybe he had a crash or something. He's the only one that did it. So I'm gonna stay on track. Let him try to pass me. Probably he will pass me. Let's face it, the Ferrari is much better than the Williams. I do have straight line speed, so I'm gonna count on that. And my other thing would be to try to see if by the end of the race around here we have a chance of changing tires into something more suitable. and try to see if like in 4 or 5 laps, if they don't come in to change from the intermediates to the soft tires, perhaps I can put a soft tire and see if I can gain those 20 something seconds that would imply having a pit stop for the dry tires, right? Sainz overtakes Gasly. Well, there you go. What is his tire? Okay, he's destroying his tires, so it doesn't matter. Our race is not with Sainz, unless, like I said, in the end of the race, we might have a chance for making a pit stop to the dry tires. If all of these stay on track with intermediate tires, we might have a chance of perhaps gaining a position to Sainz or Ocon, right? We have nothing to lose. I mean, we're in P7 anyway, so we will see when it stops. It should stop raining quite soon. I hope it stops raining. Oh, virtual safety car. Anyway, I really hope it stops raining. Okay, it stopped raining, whatever. I was gonna say it stopped raining like in lap 65 or something, so they don't come in. Should I go for the pits? Not yet, but perhaps with Dennis Hauger, I could go for it. And let's push a little bit. And let's push with Gasly as well. And let's bring him in for the soft tire as well. I don't have any new tires, so let's go for it. You can see that everybody's coming to pits, so the strategy didn't really work. 18th pit stop, probably they made a mistake then. So yeah. What is the problem? This? Yeah, it's still the same thing. So looks like we're gonna be finishing in P10 anyway. Can we try to do the fastest lap? Let's give it a try. Let's push with Gasly. All the ERS system, full battery usage. Did we? No, we didn't. So yeah, this is more or less how the races work. If there is a sprint race, you will have the sprint race. Usually the sprint races have no pit stops. It's just full power from the beginning, more or less. And usually the position you start in is going to be the position that you finish in. So more or less, this is how it is in the game. You can see the playability is more or less the same thing, just that they updated some stuff. And it took almost 1 hour to make this video. Oh my god. So I lost 2 positions. Almost everybody gained positions. Drivers, Pierre Gasly. You can see Hauger losing positions to Joe. I am still in P3 in the championship, but as you can see, they scored 23 points. I am not developing the car for this year. I'm just focusing since I was allowed to do some research in the following year's pieces. I was full focusing on that. So yeah, I mean, I was fighting for podiums at the beginning of the season, and now I am fighting to be in the top 10, right? I have been doing that since season 1, 23, 24, 25. I'm doing the same thing. There is a major update coming, so probably I can give that final step into trying to fight for the championship in the following season. And you can see here as well the pit stop stuff. McLaren with Alexander Albon was the fastest. Then you have the Mercedes, Alfa Romeo, Mercedes, whatever. I am dropping positions as well here due to the fatigue and stuff. I really don't know how the other teams do it, but my team is kind of screwed with that. And you can see here, like I said, in the first pit stop, they made a mistake with Pierre Gasly. For 1.9 to, did I actually, yeah, with Dennis Hauger 1.9. There you go. So yeah, driver development, as you can see here, you don't have that extra point or whatever that you have at the end of the race. Development works in a different way, and you can see how much money we got for this Grand Prix. The screen before you go in, and this is more or less the game. This is how it is. You can see research is being completed, whatever, manufacturing of the chassis, and yeah, so that's more or less how the game is. We can develop, research a new part, which we will do. Let's go for this. We do have a lot of points we can use so far, so we will maximize everything we can use. And that's the game. As you can see here, some stuff need to be replaced, so you replace them. You go to the second car, the front wing is missing. I do have another front wing, so bam, done. And this is it. This is the game. Some improvements. I think the game is harder to play. Reaching to the maximum level takes a longer time due to the amount of stuff that you need to spend the money on. Some improvements on the hiring and stuff have been done, but still there is things to improve, like the things that I mentioned before, right? Having this driver market, not being just you, the only one who hires, and the other teams reacting to what you do, right? Other teams should be also going for the drivers that you want, for example. Sponsoring new drivers, being able to hire sponsors or whatever, title sponsors, other little sponsors. You should be able to do this, changing the livery of the team. But anyway, it's a big step forward. I am kind of much happier with this game than with the previous one. And yeah, leave comments on what you think about the game. If you were a player of the previous game and you never played it, perhaps this video helps you to try to be convinced or whatever. If you like management games, it's like I said, step forward, but still things to improve. So thanks for watching if you watched the whole video. And see you in another episode of whatever I do next. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.